Okay, so today we're going to be talking about this movie, Batman and Robin. And I'm just going to talk about the cases right now, because Blu-ray, it's just got the logo on it, and it's not creative at all. It's just the logo between Batman and Robin, while the actual DVD case has actually the main characters on it. And now let's actually talk about the movie itself. So, George Clooney is Batman, and I mean, with George Clooney being the last in the series, it's just kind of stupid to continue on a series that doesn't have the same actor. I mean, sure, Val Kilmer was only in one. Michael Keaton was in the first two. But honestly, George Clooney was not a good Batman compared to me. He kind of seemed too out of it, like it was out of his comfort zone. And then the movie itself starts off with Robin saying, "I want a car," because chicks dig the car. And Batman saying, "This is why Superman works alone." It's cheesy. Why start off a movie like that? It gives nothing to the series before. I admit there was no real tie-ins to the Val Kilmer to the George Clooney one, but it's just cheesy to start off with a little line like that. And then Mr. Freeze is Arnold Schwarzenegger, which, I mean, why get an Australian or whatever guy to be Mr. Freeze? I mean, Mr. Freeze is one of my favorite characters, and they just had to ruin it with Arnold Schwarzenegger being him. He said one line stupid stuff, one-liners this whole movie. I mean, hell freezes over. That's the only one I can think of right now, actually. But I mean, Uma Thurman was in this movie as Poison Ivy. I mean, she was in Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction was a great movie in my opinion. That's actually one of my favorite movies. And then she went to this movie, which is actually complete shit in compared to Pulp Fiction. This movie is complete shit to me. And then let's actually talk about the movie itself now. So the movie, it's basically about Mr. Freeze. He plots to take over the world or freeze the world or whatever. And I mean, he's just. It makes no sense tying in the Bane and the Poison Ivy and. I mean, Bane and Poison Ivy make sense, but tying him in with Mr. Freeze, that just has no. It has no real connection to it. While I mean, there's parts in this movie that are okay to me, and some that are good and some that are bad. I mean, this whole Mr. Freeze character was basically ruined to me because Arnold Schwarzenegger, a guy that does not live in this country, he played Mr. Freeze, which is actually a guy that seems like he is from the USA, I'll say that much. But there's this part in the movie where they show how Mr. Freeze became Mr. Freeze, and it just kind of shows, it's like this stupid cheesy reenactment where I'll say Arnold Schwarzenegger because I don't want to keep saying Mr. Freeze over and over again. Arnold Schwarzenegger gets blown up or something and falls into a cryogenic vat of chemicals or whatever the hell it is. And it just kind of makes no sense because I don't really read the comics, but it's kind of weird to me being 4 movies into a thing and having no connection to any of the other movies. I mean, Mr. Freeze, I don't think he was in any of the other movies. And he's just kind of all of a sudden in this. I mean, in the beginning of the movie, Batman is in his car and he's talking to Commissioner Gordon. He's saying that there's a new villain called Mr. Freeze out. I mean, that's really the only thing that they really say. He's a new villain. I mean, it's kind of like in the Dark Knight where or actually in Batman Begins where he says Commissioner Gordon says that there's a new villain and he goes by a Joker or he hands him the card or whatever it is. And just the whole main point of this movie is Batman and Robin basically trying to stop Freeze from freezing Gotham City or the world or whatever it was. But there's also points in this movie that have really no connection to the main storyline. Like Poison Ivy, she really has no main connection to the movie. She's just kind of in it, which is kind of stupid in my opinion, I'll admit that. But honestly, this movie, it's bad. I mean, it really can't get any worse than what they have put out. It's 4 movies into the series. If you want to count the 1966 one with Adam West, 5. It's just a horrible movie for. I mean, I'll admit some of the ones before this one were actually pretty good, and some of them weren't that great. But I mean, this one, in my opinion, was one of the worst ones of all out of the whole Batman series between all the 1966 to the 2012 or whatever. It's just has real no storyline to it. I mean, there's a storyline, but not a very good one. It's just, honestly, in my opinion, not as great as the other ones. Yeah, I mean, they could have done stuff to make it better, but it's like, and they've got, I don't even really know what to say anymore. Because, I mean, I'm getting to the point where I'm just criticizing this movie, and I'm running out of stuff to say that's bad. I can't really say anything good about it. It's got, I'll say this, it's got, I'll, I'll say this, Uma Thurman is really hot, but it just, the Poison Ivy thing kind of ruined it. With that color hair, I liked her in Pulp Fiction. I liked how she looked. I liked how everything with the red hair and the vines and everything. She doesn't look good at all, honestly. And then Mr. Freeze, I mean, I'll admit his suit was actually very creative. But it just seems like this whole movie was made for a toy line. Because, I mean, the Batmobile is so animated. And it just seems like they had a toy line made before the movie, actually. They just kind of seem like, I mean, they didn't really, they didn't, I mean, this movie's complete shit, I'll admit that. But, there's no real tie-in. I'll admit they had the characters from the Batman comics and everything. There's no tie-in to the other movies or really to anything. I mean, it just kind of starts on its own with Freeze trying to steal diamonds. I mean, why can't you just... He lives in this freezer, so why don't you just stay in there? Why do you gotta... It seems like during the whole movie, basically he just tries to get diamonds to power his suit when he can stay in a freezer, which he lives in. And I mean, he's... Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's a good actor in my opinion, just he ruined the Mr. Freeze for me. There was parts where he's in the freezer and he's talking, he's like, I hate when people ruin the movie or interrupt the movie or something, and he's going, and they're singing the Frosty the Snowman or whatever the hell it is song, and he's going, sing, sing, sing. And it's just, the whole Mr. Freeze concept, it was a good concept in the beginning, but they just made it into something that's horrible. It would have been a good... It would have been a good choice to have a different actor, because, I mean, Mr. Freeze and Arnold Schwarzenegger are not a good match. I mean, the guy from the Star Trek or whatever, I don't remember his name, he would have been better than Arnold Schwarzenegger, because Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's hard to understand him, in my opinion, and he's just, like, he should stick to action. Well, this is an action movie, but he should stick to the ones like Predator and Terminator. He's just that kind of actor. And then I'll go back to talking about George Clooney for a second. George Clooney, he was Batman in this movie, but he was not really that great either. He just kind of seemed like he was out of his comfort zone. I think I already said that. And it's not really his movie. It's not really his kind of movie. I mean, he was in I don't remember any movies he was in currently, but it's like action movies aren't really his thing. He's kind of out of his comfort zone. While I guess Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman, they're kind of into the action movies. I guess Pulp Fiction is more of I'll say it's a drama, but Pulp Fiction had action scenes in it, like that whole scene where they get caught by the pawn shop owner and they're in the basement. I mean, that's some pretty badass stuff right there, but let's not get into Pulp Fiction right now, because I can go for hours talking about that. Anyway, with I mean, basically, the guy who played Robin, I don't remember his name or anything. He was okay. It's just he kind of seemed like they pushed him on to Batgirl too much. I don't remember her name either. The girl who played Batgirl, they kind of pushed him onto her too much. It kind of seemed like he was just kind of flirting with her throughout the whole movie. But there's also that one scene where they're in the bike race and he's trying to save her, which also looks like he's trying to flirt with her. In my opinion, the overall movie was okay. It's just, it had nothing to it that really made it interesting. I mean, the storyline was okay, but it's just, honestly, in my opinion, it's an okay movie because in the end, it all comes down to the plot line for me, and the plot line just wasn't enough to sustain to the other, what is it, 4 or 5, whatever, how many other Batman movies there are. It doesn't live up to the hype as much as the other ones do, especially with the new ones out, The Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. Those, honestly, in my opinion, are the best ones that the Batman series ever put out. But anyway, I'll tell you that this actually, in my opinion, is not a movie to watch. I don't recommend you to watch it because it just really had nothing to it to make me want to watch it again. I've probably only seen it once or twice, just out of curiosity. So, in my conclusion, just don't watch it. It's just horrible. So, that's it for today. Recap. It's just a horrible movie. So, see you guys later.